We now move on to our review of Mortal Kombat. Right now, it is trending at 54% on Rotten Tomatoes, but has a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, meaning, people are ranking that a little bit better, the common folk. It's right now, it's available to see in theaters or on HBO Max. And it's about, if you don't know, it's about based off of Mortal Kombat, the video game. But the synopsis of the movie is MMA fighter Cole Young finds sanctuary at the temple of Lord Raiden, training with experienced fighters Liu Kang and Kung Lao. And rogue mercenary Kano, Cole prepares to stand with Earth's greatest champions to take on the enemies from Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe. So let's just get right into it, guys. What you want me to just? Should I just go? Should I just go?
You have to
Yeah.
start.
Roll
I
with
have
it.
to start.
You have to
All right.
start.
All right.
He's hot. He's hot.
Woo, woo. Here's what I'll say. Compared to the original Mortal Kombat movie, it's Oscar worthy. It's amazing. Just
Agreed.
judging it objectively, not that great of a movie. Judging it as a Mortal Kombat fan, I think they did pretty good. So there's 3 different layers there, right? So if you compare it to the old one, it's amazing and beautiful. If you compare it just completely objectively, it's not a good movie. If you compare it as a Mortal Kombat fan, it was all right. One of my biggest issues, I think, with this movie is just like, we get it. There's a video game. They tried so hard to fit in stuff from the video game. Flawless victory, fatality. Like, I was like, oh, like it made me cringe every single time they
Flawless
said something.
victory. That made me laugh out loud. I kind of loved it.
And then what was that? This is where you test your might. And it's like, okay, yeah, got it. Call back to the game. Like, I
Next
understand.
level.
I play come. Oh my God. But the thing is, like, the fatality before the flawless victory with Kung Lao, sick. The action in this movie, sick. The blood, the gore, like, oh my God. And that's what us Mortal Kombat fans, that's what we love. That's what we enjoy. And we had a couple good versions of some characters. It was a little corny, but I thought Kano did a really good job. He kind of carried the movie on his back, in my opinion, because I don't know if you guys even know this, but Cole Young he's not a Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah,
They
I
made
did
him
hear
for
that.
the movie.
I was gonna ask you about that because I've
Yeah.
seen the 95 version, and
Yeah.
by God, that movie, I would rank that in the single digits.
In the single digits, it's so
Yeah,
bad.
I think that
sometimes it's
yeah.
on sci-fi or
Yeah,
and
it's
I
that-
watch it and I'm just
yeah.
like, oh man.
I've seen only clips of it, and then I was like, you know what? I can't like go on a podcast and talk about the Mortal Kombat 2021 without referring to the 95 version. So I have to watch it in its entirety, just straight through. And I'm really mad I did because it was that bad. It was so
Jeez.
bad.
So like when people compare those 2 movies, one thing I constantly hear, like I have been hearing, well, the biggest gripe with the one from 95 is that like Mortal Kombat, as Nez said, it's all about the finishing, and then it's all about like the killing of the one-on-ones. And the 95 one, it's like PG-13. It was like there was no brutalness to it. And I think Nez nailed it with this one. Man, they didn't pull any punches, man. There was some brutal deaths in this movie. Super bloody.
Brutal.
And like people getting like sliced in half. Yes, it was cheesy, but I mean, it must have been so enjoyable for like Mortal Kombat fans. And it seemed like this was just geared towards that. They weren't necessarily concerned with making this, as I said before, Martin Scorsese considered cinema, not cinema, right?
No.
We're talking about like, okay, making sure we satisfy these fans, giving them like all those Easter eggs, all those hints and all those phrases and whatever. It felt like an 80s macho movie at some points with these phrases. And there wasn't a lot of, like, I would say, like, storytelling for each character. They didn't really care about that. But in that regard, I think it is successful. And I would not be surprised if this actually like spawns a franchise, you know?
I mean, it's the most watched movie of the year so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, I mean, they're leading
wow.
up.
I didn't even not. Wow.
Yeah, it beat
You know-
Kong, Godzilla Kong by a lot. It
Yeah.
got almost 4 million U.S.
Yeah, it's
households
a
watched it
franchise.
on
It's
HBO Max.
no, it's like a cinematic universe. Like, it's gonna be. I think they're on the hook for 2 more movies. I think they're on the hook for 3 movies.
Well, the ending. the ending, like they did a little tease at the
A
end.
tease, Johnny Cage, baby.
Johnny
Oh,
Cage.
wait, I guess this is a spoiler review. Sorry, guys.
Well, like it's
Um,
just that's not
Yeah,
really that bad.
I mean, a lot of people's issue with this movie, besides it being, really corny, is the fact that they didn't have a tournament.
Yep.
But in a way, they still got those one-on-one fights. I mean, I think the way that they carried the story along in this movie was really cringeworthy. Sometimes it's like, no, so we'll split them up, and then we'll basically take them to different
Yeah.
Mortal
Tried
Kombat.
so hard.
We'll take them to different Mortal Kombat levels where we fight one-on-one, so there'll be a callback to the game, and then we can just shoot out lines and do fatalities like Jax.
Jax, yeah, the
Jax, he
arms,
does that
mechanical
fatality with
arms.
where he
the
claps
head.
his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's sick.
that's like a callback to the game. I mean, there's a lot of really cool callbacks to the game. Here's one thing that I think they did amazingly, and it's the one like I guess element of the story in this movie that I think was done like almost to perfection. Like I enjoyed it really like a lot, and it's the Scorpion
Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero like beef, like for lack of a better word, like the whole
The first
like,
scene was the best scene of the movie.
oh my god, that was
100%.
beautifully done.
And
I
they
was like,
released it on
wow.
Twitter before the movie even came out.
Yeah, that I was like, that is sick. That is so sick. The only problem with that story is Scorpion, or the Great Warrior that who was before Scorpion was
Hanzo.
Scorpion. He speaks Japanese through the entire movie, and then for some reason in that last scene,
Yes.
just to
Right.
call back to the video game, goes, "Get over here." When did you learn English, dude? You're from like year
was-
200. What?
I was gonna ask you about that because, like, did he know English before? I knew he didn't know Chinese.
Maybe he
'cause-
learned it when he's in the depths of hell.
and that's another
learned
thing.
English.
That could do it. Yeah.
And that's another thing I wanted to mention, at least, or maybe ask you, Nez, is that, like, I guess with what's the main character, Cole, like,
Cole.
he's not from the game, right? But he has that lineage, right? I
Right.
thought it would have been cool if, like, that was the first scene was Scorpion's only scene, and then he, like, became, like, the next Scorpion. I thought
So
that
I
was
thought that-
that's what I,
thought
predicted.
that was
like,
what was gonna happen, but then when he
Okay,
got
yeah.
his little armor suit, I was like,
Mm.
oh, so I guess he's not Scorpion, and then Scorpion just comes from hell.
out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Like, how?
I thought that was such a weird thing. Like that
he took
didn't
the
get
highway.
explained whatsoever.
He took the highway that AC/DC built. I don't know.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah. I heard that's a tough one.
A lot of traffic.
But like I actually thought, like, I agree with Ricky Flex and Naz, that was the best scene. I would have loved to see more Sub-Zero because I think he was the
He was
most
awesome.
like badass character. I liked it, and they got a little, like, they kind of got a little redundant with what he was doing with like the ice like coming out of his hands and everything. But
The
then they
blood
switched-
scene. He made the
thought they did
blood
a lot.
ice.
Oh,
and
the
kill-
blood when he caught the blood.
Yeah, it's a-
Yes,
Yeah.
that was sick.
That
so
was
like they
nuts.
got creative at the end. Like
Yeah.
like they started to do something different. They kind of saved it for that part. But I would have loved, and I thought Kano was awesome. I
Mhm.
thought like I was like, at first I was like turned off by his character. I'm like, this guy's gonna get annoying. I actually thought he got funnier as the
He got
movie
better.
went
I
on.
thought he was good. I just think his powers sucked. Like the eye. I know it's the same thing in the
Well,
95.
that's what he has
yeah,
in the game.
I know it, like
Mhm.
in the 95 version, so I'm guessing in the game.
But I think
just
in the
thought it sucked.
95 one, it's a cybernetic eye, and that's what it's supposed to be in the game. But I think
Mm-hmm.
to kind of make this, make it like I guess grounded in reality.
Mhm.
I guess.
Yeah,
They did
yeah.
something with,
We
like,
got
the-
guys coming back from
with,
hell,
like,
and
the
we're
su-
doing
with
grounded
like the
real.
superpowers and stuff like that, so that it makes sense why he would have a laser beam in his eye.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah, makes sense.
So,
I
but
thought the
one
hat
thing-
was cool though. Like we
Oh,
talked
yeah.
about before he finishes that finish.
That
They
was
made it like a
insane.
chain, like a I don't know, like when you're-
Buzzsaw?
Buzzsaw. Thank
Yeah,
you. Made it
yeah.
a buzzsaw. That was awesome. I thought it looked dumb, but then when he made it as a weapon, I was like, damn. All right, that's cool. Never mind.
I thought it
Take
was
that,
dumb
take
up
that.
until that. I'm like,
Yeah,
this guy's like,
that's-
it's like Captain America
Oh,
wearing
no.
a shield on his head.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
exactly.
And all of a
No.
sudden, he's
Then you find
buzzsawing
out-
like half and
yeah.
half.
Yeah,
Right.
that was sick. That was
Mhm.
sick, and I think that is a callback to the game with the fatalities as well. I mean, the fatalities in
right.
that game. I used to be like 6 years old watching my cousins play this game, and I'm just watching people's spines get ripped out of their bodies. Probably wasn't good for me, but I'll tell you what. Here's the thing. I think if I was 13 years old and I watched this, I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. You know what I mean?
Like
Like,
the
I don't
sequel
really
coming.
have to appreciate any plot holes or anything like that. But seeing it as 25, I'm like, this is pretty cool, but I see the plot holes. Yeah, I see them. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can't sneak it by us. Can't sneak it by us.
No, I get it. I mean, this is like a popcorn movie. Like, this is like,
100%.
fun. Like, this is, I mean, it's with how much they dedicated to fan service, like how they went so out of their way, they would like look right in the camera, fatality, and like they'd be like,
Jax did
this
do
is
that
a
at one point.
this is a callback to the game. This movie is about a game.
Like
Like,
the flawless victory was
and then
awesome.
yeah,
I was like, yes.
it's like real. What do you mean victory? Okay, like all right, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I was just like, oh my gosh, like really, but no. And then when he calls himself Sub-Zero, it's like that's not my name anymore. I go by Sub-Zero now.
There was
Why?
like 4 moments in
Why?
the movie where that happened, where they introduced like I am now this person. I am this person. Or just like I am Scorpion.
yeah,
now.
I am Scorpion now. Why?
I am Goro.
Why? Why are
No,
you
nothing is
Scorpion?
explained. No.
Like we don't have to. You don't have to say that. We all know you're Scorpion. You're shooting the thing out of your wrist. Get over here. You learn English in hell. You don't have to say I'm Scorpion. It only works for Batman. You're not Batman. Only Batman can announce himself like that. But they asked him at least they asked him. At least they asked Batman, "Who are you?" I'm Batman.
And that's a
Right?
requirement. If you play Batman, you got to say I'm Batman. You have to
Yeah.
say it. That's just comes.
But I don't know that stuff.
Vengeance.
It just made me cringe a lot. Like a lot of those stuff. That
Yeah.
stuff made me cringe. But I think the like more subtle callbacks are really cool. Also, some of the shots in this movie like had no business being that sick. When they introduced Liu Kang and he's standing there in the desert and they're kind of ripping off Star Wars, except there's only one
yeah,
sun.
with the
I'm
yeah.
like, oh my
Very
god, that's
sun.
so sick! Like that has no business being in this movie. Why is it so?
Yeah.
That is
Waste.
the sickest shot I've ever seen. In my
They looked
life.
amazing. It's just like literally then they go back to like a green screen in a desert or wherever they were.
Yeah.
But that shot was sick. And that was
I was like-
honestly, I'm like, what is this going for best cinematography right now? What is it? Roger Deakins on the freaking camera? What is it? You know?
That was epic. That was epic. But yeah, I mean, Liu Kang, I thought he was kind of boring. I wasn't a huge fan of him in this movie.
Yeah.
He was kind of corny, and the Liu Kang in the other one looks like a freaking complete badass.
Yeah, he does look cool. in
That was
the
sick.
95 version.
Yeah, but I like Sonya in this movie. I thought she was really like great in a
Try-hard.
supporting role. She was a try hard, but like I thought she did a pretty good job, and so was Jax. Honestly, I think the main character Cole, I thought he was like the most boring of the bunch.
Dude, he
And he's,
sucked.
like, the
Yeah,
chosen
they
one.
made him.
sucked.
They made
Such
him
a
like
bad actor.
bad actor, and also the story. Like, why can't he be a good MMA fighter? And like why did he have to be bad? It made no sense. Why?
Yeah, like all of a sudden he's gonna be a champion in multiple realms of like different
How-
worlds.
yeah,
but
yeah,
he
how
can't
is
even
that
beat
gonna
the
work?
fucking excuse me. He couldn't even beat the 40-year-old at the local gym. Like, what are we talking about?
And then he's like, what? When he turns down another fight at the end, he's like, "I'm going to Hollywood." It's just like, all right, take a hike.
yeah,
Take a lap.
He was like corny as heck. He was like, I could tell about this franchise. They're like, okay, you're like the Captain America of this universe. Like, you're gonna be
Mhm.
like, you're the model like person. You're gonna be like off screen. You're gonna be the man. Everyone's gonna look up to you. You're gonna be like the perfect specimen on screen. And I just found him really corny. Like
Yeah.
not in a charming way, but like I want you off my screen, corny.
Yeah, it was
know?
it was kind of weird. And like, oh god, when he's oh my gosh, I don't even know. When he's fighting Goro, the four-armed guy,
Right.
Yeah.
and like and they're like, "Dad, get him with the uppercut."
Oh, I was gonna mention the
I'm just
uppercut.
like what? Like why does that line have to be in there? Like why does it have to be
They say
in
it 3
there?
times throughout. The end,
do you know
that,
what-
and the beginning.
You know what part cracked me up is that when he finds out that Hanzo is like his bloodline, that it's his
Mhm.
dad basically or whatever, and then he like finds out all this information, like you're probably gonna get all these powers or whatever, and then she's like, I want to go home. I want to go see my like wife. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you just found out like the most
No.
important information of your life, and you're like, I'm out. like
Like, you come from a
superpowers,
long
dude.
line of samurai, and like yeah, your great grandfather was one of the greatest samurais the world's ever seen, or warriors the world's ever seen. And he's like,
I want to
"That's
see my
cool.
daughter. Bye.
I'm gonna go see my yeah." And then like and then his family gets attacked by Goro. And then he's like, and then they defeat him. And he's like, "Oh, look, I got the powers. All right, well, you guys are good, right? See ya." Like, it doesn't make
Goes
any
right
sense.
back.
And then Sub-Zero shows up. Here's what I'll say: Sub-Zero, added like a horror element to, like when he shows up at that door, I'm like,
Mm.
Oh
oh,
yeah, that
whoa.
was
I
good.
mean, you
That
kind of
was
see it
good.
coming a little bit because like the way that they were moving the camera, I was like, all right, well, somebody's at the door. But I thought it was cool. And then the way that, things would start frosting up, I thought it added an element of horror where it's like, oh, it's getting eerie now. Like, something's coming. Like, Bihan is here, and or Sub-Zero. I don't know what he was going by at that point, but but I honestly, like, I had a lot of issues with this movie, and I get why people say it's a crappy movie. Like I've heard a lot of people say it's going to be like that it's a bad movie. It is a bad movie, but I think it was still an entertaining movie. Like I still was able to get through it. I wasn't on my phone or anything. I was still just watching, like waiting for the next, fight scene to happen because the scenes were sick. But at the same time, I understand why people say that they don't like it.
Score.
Like that. Yeah, Naz. Yeah, let's hear Naz's score. I want to
That felt like a good sum of
break this
like his
down.
take.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Exactly.
go. I'm gonna go with a 64. 64 for Mortal Kombat.
Okay. 64. I'm gonna go with a 48. I'm gonna go because like I think Nez has more of a passion, obviously, for these characters,
Yeah.
where they come from. For me, I thought the R rating was cool in terms of like the gruesomeness of it, and then like the awesome finishes, the great action. But I think like one thing we didn't talk about, and I wanted to touch upon really quick, is there was so many F bombs in here that were like unnecessarily used. It felt like it was like a 12-year-old when they figure out they can say swears without their parents around.
Mhm.
Swear whenever they want to. And that's what it felt like when they were like when the wife is like about to kill, like about to hit she's like F this, and she grabs like the thing to try and kill the forearm guy. I forgot what his name is.
Yeah.
But and then also the cheesy lines, I don't mind it. Like that just comes with the territory. The acting was abysmal for the most part, but I agree with Nez. It was entertaining, and maybe I'll pick my phone up in between the fight scenes, but I put my phone right down whenever they started to have those one-on-one moments. So I'm going with a 48 for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, there's definitely more clarity, or more of a story and emotional weight, I guess, than the 1995 one, which that was just total random fights and didn't really make sense. And this had much better action sequences, a little too choreographed at times, like especially the training scenes kind of lagged a bit in the middle. The second act of the movie kind of dragged a little bit, but then again, like, hey, it's Mortal Kombat. It's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get some great fight scenes, and the gore I thought was the goriness and the violence was just that was great. That's what you want to see in Mortal Kombat. But after all, it's still a corny movie. I gave it a 42.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Fun review though.
Yeah.
It was good to watch. Like a 42, like it was good to watch, like just for the action sequences.
It's like it's not a good movie. It's an
Mhm.
entertaining movie.
Yes.
Agreed.
Movies can be good and entertaining, or just good and just like Nomadland, good movie, great movie. Entertaining? No.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
Exactly.
good. I like that.
Mortal Kombat, entertaining. Good? No.
Right. I think we have spent like multiple podcasts now just ripping on Nomadland, even though
I
just
know.
won Best Picture. It's kind of hilarious. And then we're saying like, oh, I would rather watch Mortal Kombat again than watch Nomadland again.
I
So
would
it's
watch
like,
it. Yeah, it's
it's
true.
I honestly would. All right. So that does it for our review of Mortal Kombat. Ricky.